What is up, everyone? Happy Friday the 13th. I couldn't let this day pass without doing a new video dealing with the Friday the 13th franchise. So today I thought it'd be cool to do my top 10 favorite Jason kills of the entire franchise. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, coming in at number 10 is Charles' death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, where Jason pretty much chases Charles through Manhattan, runs in a building. He gets thrown out of I guess it would be the second story window, and all of a sudden there's a barrel. Jason picks up Charles, throws him over his shoulder. There's a dead rat floating in this disgusting, it looks like a toxic barrel. And the way Jason just forces him in there head first into the barrel, and the way Charles's legs is kicking and he's drowning and he's trying to get out, the way Kane Hodder held him and was like fighting with his legs and so violently, I just feel like it was a violent kill. And it's always one that when I see and you see the rat floating in there, you're like, ooh, that's so nasty. But what seals the deal for me in this is when Charles finally does drown and he's dead. The way that Jason just takes his legs and just shoves it away, like, there, I'm done with you. But I've always enjoyed that kill. I thought that was pretty good. Plus, he deserves it. He's one of those characters that you knew was going to get it in the end, and you couldn't wait to see it. So that's coming in at number 10. All right, so coming in at number 9 is Jimmy's death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 4. I think this is one of the best death scenes that we have, especially it's the best one in the film. Getting the corkscrew in the hand, and then the way that Jimmy is reacting while it's in his hand, and he turns around and all of a sudden Jason hits him with the meat cleaver right into the face. And, you know, back in the day, this was great practical effects. It still lives up to this day. It still looks really good. And I know that they shot the death scene backwards where it was really Ted White just pulling the meat cleaver away from his face. But, man, it is such a violent scene. The way when it hits, you can hear the thud that hits his face. But, yes, that is such a good kill scene. I really enjoy that. Like I said, that's my actual favorite one of that film. All right, so coming in at number 8 is the three-headed decapitation from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Not only is this my favorite Friday the 13th film, but I absolutely love the paintball scene. I think all the characters did really well with each other, but you actually have where the woman ends up shooting the two guys, so she makes them wear the bandana that says dead. And as they're walking, they hear something, and out of nowhere, Jason falls from the sky. He just falls out of the tree, lands on his feet, holds the machete up, and then with one swipe, decapitates all three of them. I know that they've showed the actual extended footage of it, and it looks really good, but I love the version that we get in the actual theatrical version, where it's so quick, and all of a sudden you just see him fall, and how the bodies fall over. I think that was more impressive than the extended version that I seen where the bodies land on their knees and then fall over. But yeah, wonderful death scene. Really dig that one. All right, coming in at number 7 is Eva's death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. I had recently just talked to Kane Hodder back in April about this death scene and told him that it is one of my favorites of his death scenes, of his kills. I love how they are in I guess you could say it's like a ballroom. The lights are going around, the camera's going around, and Eva's like almost confused on where Jason's at. And he pops over here, and then he comes over here, but all of a sudden she turns around, he's right behind her, and he picks her up and holds her up. And I love the camera shot as he's strangling her and the vision that you can see of him. And man, as soon as she drops her head, the way he just lunges her body. And I mean, Kane Hodder told me that he told the stunt woman, look, you have to take this spot. You have to take every bit of this because you're dead and you can't catch yourself. And she did a phenomenal job. He said that was all done in one take, but love that death scene. I think, like I said, without having any blood or gore, I think that's about as violent as you could get. Okay, coming in at number 6 is Judy's death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Of course, this is the famous sleeping bag death scene that everybody loves. And I think that the version that we get, of course, where it's just a one hit, that's awesome. But I know that the extended cut, they had it where Kane Hodder actually slung that sleeping bag like 4 or 5 times, and you can see blood coming out of it. It would have been such a gory death if, of course, the rating boards hadn't cut it down, but still a phenomenal death scene. The way she's kicking and screaming as he's just dragging her over there, and just showing Jason's strength as he just picks that whole entire sleeping bag up with that woman and just bam against the tree. Like I said, it's one of them only Jason could kill somebody like that. But yeah, that's coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is from Jason X. It is the liquid nitrogen death scene, and I believe the girl's name is either Adrian or Adrienne. I can't remember, but yes, this death scene is phenomenal. I know when I first seen this, when it first come out, I thought this was the greatest death scene I've ever seen in any horror film. The way that he just violently grabs her and she's fighting for her life. And as he takes her over to the little station, she knows what he's fixing to do and puts her head in there. As she screams, you can hear it just close up, raises her back up. She's completely frozen solid, smashes her head. But the best part of that whole scene is when he raises her up and her face is missing, he just throws her down. Like the only way Kane Hodder can do it. Like, okay, I'm done with you. But yeah, phenomenal death scene. Okay, coming in at number 4 is the death scene of Julius from Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. The only man to stand toe-to-toe with Jason, man, and actually give him a few good shots. I love this scene. I like the character Julius. I thought he was the highlight of Friday the 13th, Part 8. But classic kill scene, man. He's trying his hardest, but you can tell he's getting wore out. And that classic line where his knuckles are bloody and he just looks up and he's so tired and he's like, take your best shot. And then he says something else I'm not going to repeat. Jason just grabs him by his left hand and just rears that right hand back. Boom. One punch and sends his head flying. Love it. Still a great death scene. All right, down to the final 3, and coming in at number 3 is Andy's death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D. I think this is one of the most violent death scenes, and I loved the camera shot, and I think that's what makes it even better. And you've got Andy, who throughout the entire movie, he's doing like handstands and walking on his hands, and the way they shot it to where he's on the floor, but it's almost like through a glass floor, so you're seeing him upside down. The camera's right here. He looks up. All of a sudden, Jason's just rearing back and just chops him, splits him right down the middle. The way he yells, the way the body hits the ground, it's like I said, it's one of the most violent death scenes, and I love it. I know that's probably twisted, but I think it's such a good death scene. All right, so coming in at number 2 is Sheriff Garris's death scene from Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And of course, I'm talking about the backbreaker. Love that scene. I really like Sheriff Garris. I love CJ Graham's portrayal of Jason. And he's trying his hardest to kill Jason. He's got a big rock and he's just smashing Jason's head because Jason turned his attention when he heard Sheriff Garris's daughter yell. And he's just smashing his head. And all of a sudden, Jason just grabs a hold of him right here by the neck and just bends his body backwards. It's still one of them scenes that you're like, oh, after all these years, you're like, man, that is so cool. And I think they almost tried to recreate it in Freddy vs. Jason with the bed scene, which was cool, but this one still gets me every time. So yeah, that's coming in at number 2. All right, and coming in at number 1, my favorite all-time Jason kill is Mark from Friday the 13th, Part 2. I think this is such a good death scene. Mark was such a good character. And it's not just because the guy was in the wheelchair. The character was in the wheelchair. I know a lot of people's like, oh, I feel bad for him. No, it's the fact that he was such a fun, lovable guy. I love how the death scene is shot, how the camera's coming up behind Mark, and he's kind of looking around and you're waiting for it to happen, but you don't know what's going to happen. Man, all of a sudden when that machete hits Mark right in the face, it's the way his facial expression is, how he's grunting, and then, of course, how he falls down backwards of this flight of stairs. It is so good. And to watch the making of it and how they said they did it, it's phenomenal. I just love how it just keeps bouncing. And like I said, the slit in the face, the machetes in Mark's face, and then how all of a sudden it pauses and it fades to white. I love that. That's my favorite all-time kill scene from Jason. Alright, so that was my top 10 favorite kills of Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th franchise. I know this video was short, but you know, you can't let this day pass without discussing Friday the 13th. I hope you guys like this video, and as always, please leave your top 10, or if you just want to leave your favorite Jason kill scene in the comments, do that. I love interacting with you guys and gals. But as always, I just wanted to say God bless each and every one of you, and until next time.